स्वामिन् नमस्ते नतलोकबन्धो कारुण्यसिन्धो पतितं भवाब्धौ मामुद्धरात्मीयकटाक्षदृष्ट्या ऋज्व्यातिकारुण्य सुधाभिवृष्ट्या स्वामिन्नमस्ते 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 स्वामिन्नमस्ते। सच्चिदानन्दरूपाय व्यापिने परमात्मने नमः श्रीगुरुनाथाय प्रकाशानन्दमूर्तये सत्यानन्दस्वरूपाय बोधैकसुखकारिणे नमो वेदान्तवेद्याय गुरवे बुद्धिसाक्षिणे यस्य प्रसादात् अहमेव सर्वं मय्येव सर्वं परिकल्पितं च इत्थं विजानामि सदात्मरूपं तस्याङ्घ्रिपद्मं प्रणतोऽस्मि नित्यं तस्याङ्घ्रिपद्मं प्रणतोऽस्मि नित्यं। जय गुरु, जय गुरु, जय गुरु. As Namrata was telling, we meet many people, many come to our ashram, and we also move about meeting many kinds of people, seekers, devotees, new devotees who have just stepped into this path. And what I find over the years, those who come near me and ask me questions or some discussions, I find that people who have stepped into spirituality, they like spirituality, they are interested in spirituality, and slowly their lifestyle also changes. They get more and more fond of pursuing this path. But most of them have this difficulty, how to intensify the sadhana. How, remaining in the household, one can become more and more wholesome in this pursuit. So that becomes a common question. And every time, most of them, they say, we are in the household, we have got this thing to do, that thing to do, we are very busy. So how to fully focus the mind? So when I look back, as many of you know that I stepped into this path quite young, and I find that this has been a question in my mind also. I have also gone through a life, a householder's life, but ever since I stepped into the path of spirituality, remaining in the household, mind you, I have felt that my life has to be different from the very ordinary one. Whatever I do, I must touch the divinity that we feel when we go to temples, when we worship, and later on when I came in the association of Baba or Swamiji. So the divinity, purity, sublimity that we feel when we are thinking of God maybe chanting something, singing bhajans, or maybe in the midst of some kind of worship, chantings. That, why does it not remain? Why is it that when we get into worldly work, we forget all that we had acquired or all that we had a glimpse of? Why all these go away? And the one thing I think which has been constantly in my mind was how to keep it, retain this, not only the knowledge, the feeling of purity, the feeling of divinity throughout every moment of day-to-day life. How to do it? So, I think all that I discuss, I always come around that topic, that how we can make our every moment a moment full of spirituality, full of divinity. The life is like, there will be ups and downs in the life. Life will never be what we plan for, what we wish, what we expect. It will be much different. Sometimes we will get what we like, what we have wished for, and many of the times we will not. So then, still, how to remain afloat in this? How still not to lose heart and be disappointed, but have enthusiasm? I can tell you this, that when I was young and I stepped into this path of spirituality, I did not know anything about self-realization. Yes, the word Atma I have heard, Paramatma I have heard, but the mind was more given to devotion and devotion to God. And that is what I knew. My mother had taught me that God is within you. Pray to God every day to make you good, a good girl. So the prayer was always that, make me a good girl, which when I was very young, I did not know what good meant. But when I grew up, I understood good means to have good qualities. And as I stepped into this path of spirituality, I understood that all the qualities are the qualities of Atma that we must acquire, we must imbibe. So I prayed to God. I had belief in God. I was in a family who believed in God. We were not given to so many rituals, but had a great faith and reliance, which I inherited from my parents and the elders. But I think that I must have had some feelings regarding what my mother told me, that God is within you. He is everywhere and He is within you. So the connection to God, I felt I would always talk to God in my fear, in my happiness. If I felt hurt, I would talk to God inside me, who is within me. I did not know that is the Atma, the self. Much later I understood, and when I started reading books and got exposed to Swamiji and Baba. So, when I grew up a little bit, I felt that I understood that this life is, one has to think a lot, introspect a lot, and which came to me naturally. I don't know how it came. Later I understood that that also is grace of God. Such thoughts having come to the mind. What are the thoughts? I suddenly felt that everything is transitory. This world is fleeting. Though we know that, but it came and hit as the truth or the fact of life. Every joy is transitory. Everything that we acquire is transitory. And So the mind felt, what is permanent then? If I look back, I feel that only because of God's grace, such kinds of thought came to me. And I started inquiring in my mind, what is permanent? Is there anything called permanence? Is there anybody who knows about it? Is there anybody who can tell me about it? Where will I find such a person? Much later I understood that that is called yearning in the mind. And when the yearning becomes very, very intense, then one is led to a person whom we call a guru. So, in Viveka Chudamani, this shloka is there. Many of you might have heard about it. It says, Durlabham trayamevaitat devanugraha hetukam manushyatvam mumukshutvam mahapurusha samshrayaha. So, this is Durlabham. Durlabham Trayam. Durlabham means rare. Trayam means three. Three things are rare. Durlabham Trayamevaitat. Etat Trayam Durlabham. These three are rare. Devanugraha hetukam. And by God's grace only, these three things, these three rare things, man is able to get together. What are those? So by grace of God alone, these three things come together. What are these three things? One is manushyatvam. That is human body, human birth. We could have been born as anything, animals, birds, insects, reptiles, whatnot. But we are born as human beings. And what is the difference between any other creature and human beings? The similarity is that all the creatures, they eat, sleep, and they procreate. But human beings have been given mind and intelligence, thoughts and the intelligence to direct the thoughts and to give it the discrimination between what is good and what is bad. So, human beings are the creation of God or the Creator with mind and intelligence which they can use to understand what is good for them and what is not good for them. And through that only, they are also supposed to understand what is their real nature. Who are they actually? What is the relationship between this creation and the Creator? That is, we are created by some supreme power, say. What is the relationship? What is the relationship between the world and the individual human beings that we are? Then comes Manushyatvam, then Mumukshutvam. What is Mumukshutvam? Mumukshutvam is the yearning to be liberated. Liberated from what? Liberated not from the body. Liberated from the shackles of the mind. We remain bound. Remain bound by what? By our own tendencies, our own traits which we do not like in ourselves. Say we are arrogant, obstinate, we are very irritable, we become angry very soon, we are very impatient, intolerant, we do not have a helping nature or sacrificing nature. All these actually, they bind us and they give us suffering. We may be angry with somebody, but then later we ourselves feel that why did I become angry? I need not have shouted. Or why do I have this kind of a dislike for somebody? I should not have. So, all the traits which give us suffering, and the intelligence also, it has its binding nature, like we are indecisive at some times, and we are confused at some times. So, all these things which they bind, these are the shackles of the mind, and we remain constricted because of them. So, liberation from the shackles of the mind, That is, we are not slave of our mind and intelligence, but we are free, and we feel that we are free and expanded. So mumukshutvam should be there. So just to have human body is one of the rare things, but you must also have mumukshutvam. Many people do not have mumukshutvam. They do not feel, they feel that this is life. We have got born, then we will get educated, we will get a job, we will marry, we will have children, we will raise a family, we will buy houses, cars, this, that, comfort, luxury. This is the life. Then we will grow old and we will die. It is a normal way of life. And people are quite happy with that. But mumukshutvam means when they feel that we are suffering, is there a life which has a higher purpose? Is there a state in the life where, in spite of all the ups and downs in life, we can remain afloat, we don't get affected. We remain unaffected. We remain joyful. Even if a great danger comes, great calamity comes, we still do not lose our poise and balance. Unless we are able to do that, unless we are able to achieve that, we'll always be suffering. And we do not know what calamity can come in everybody's life. Something or other comes. Always we are anxious, always we are tense, always we are pressurized. Not only for big things, even small things. Children are not all right. A child is born, the parents will be very happy, the whole family will be very happy. After some days, you will find the child is disobedient, doesn't study, is not wanting to go to school, or even if it studied, did not get a good job, did not get married properly. So every point in life, along with happiness, there is a lot of unhappiness also. So the yearning should be how to have a frame of mind or a state of mind gaining which I'll never feel affected by it. That I'll never be bound by the world. So Bhagavad Gita, the very great shloka which is there, it says, Yam labdva chaparam labham manyate nadhikam tataha yasmin sthito na dukkhena guruna api vichalyate. Yam labdva chaparam labham manyate nadhikam tataha. That is, that state of mind, yam labdva, getting which or achieving which, aparam labham, yam labdva chaparam labham manyate nadhikam tataha. Any other gain, gaining the state, any other thing doesn't seem to be more than this. It is not more than that. That is, you feel contented. When we are not contented, we look for other things. So there is a state of mind, gaining which, achieving which, you feel that there is nothing more than this or superior to this. And also, the second line is more important. Yasmin sthito na dukkhena guruna api vichalyate. And remaining in that state, even the greatest of adversity will not make you feel affected. So once we hear this, we should all want to achieve this. But very few have this mumukshutva, that is yearning to have this. Now, even if you have manushyatvam, you have mumukshutvam also, the third must be there. What is that? Mahapurusha samshrayaha. That is association with a realized master. The loving care and guidance of a realized master, guru. This must be there. The three things comes in together in anybody's life only by Devanugraha Hetukam, by the grace of God. So I feel, I have always felt, and I always tell everybody that those of you who are listening to this knowledge, you are happy to listen to spiritual messages, words, you should feel blessed. And this blessedness should surround you, envelop you, make you feel so soft and subtle, sublime, that it should bring tears to your eyes, that how much blessed I am, that by grace of God, I have got the fortune of coming near any Mahatma, listening to them, and hearing these good words of spiritual knowledge. So that is the first thing. So what I was saying, that if I look back, see, these slokas I came to know much later. It's not that I knew them earlier. But when I came to read the books, I understood that what a blessedness I have been through. And the blessedness, though I did not know the shlokas, the blessedness of having come in the association of a person like Baba Gangadhara Paramhamsa, Swamiji's Guru. First I met him, made me shed tears and tears and tears. I never garlanded him, never did any Pada Puja for him, never did any Arati for him, never worshipped him with any flower. And later on, when I saw Pada Puja being done first time, it was in Jamshedpur. So we had gone to meet Swamiji and saw that one couple, they were doing Pada Puja for Swamiji. It was very nice hearing the Guru Shlokas and the manner in which the Pada Puja was being done, washing the holy feet, then offering chandan, kumkum, flowers, garland, arati. It was very sublime and nice. So I thought, oh, I've never done this to Baba. But I never felt that I've missed anything, because I always felt the gratitude that I felt that he came in my life. Those were the flowers with which I have every day worshipped him. My tears of gratitude, those were the flowers of worship. And the knowledge that he gave me, the love that he filled me with, the unconditional love that I felt from the Guru, that became the flame of Arati, which never flickered in my life. So, why I'm telling this is, I feel like telling all of you that all of you are interested. And see, even this, many people, many of you told, meeting me, that thank you so much for coming all the way from India to USA. So actually speaking, when I hear these words, I feel, oh, acha, it means so much. But I think we have come very effortlessly. So effortlessly that it is not a great distance that we have traveled. It is only for the love with which people are calling us. That is why we come. And it is only for the love of people that we talk. Yes, the body being old, getting older every year, the body has some problems. But I think all those become very irrelevant, redundant. But I do feel, I was thinking yesterday that I'm hearing that you have taken so much of trouble to come here. But what of the people who have arranged this? How much they have worked for? How much they are even now running about just to have these programs? And they are very few actually. Very few people, they are running about, and some have come from other parts of America to assist them. And most of them are working. So with their, in between their work, they come and look after us, ask us what we are doing, not doing, whether we need anything. Really, my heart gets melted. Thinking that that is such a great sacrifice. And it is for whom? It is for, not only for them. I don't think those who are organizing, they are just wanting to hear their guru, or maybe Nuto Swamiji and me. They want this message to be heard by many people. That is why they are taking such trouble. So the mind becomes very filled, And I think that one thing is enough for any spiritual person to be, everybody should be able to sacrifice and do for others. That is what is spirituality. Now, do not remain self-centered, but be universal. So when I see that how this whole thing, I think our discussions of our plans of coming here started, I don't know, maybe in December, January from nearly 6 months back. So there were a lot of meetings, talking to the ashram and with many other people. And in between our Purnashram project, it all came about. But one thing happens is that when we are in this kind of arrangement, discussion, it is all about spirituality and spiritual knowledge. It's not just we are having any other program, say, many programs take place, songs, music, or drama or anything. It's something around your guru that you are doing, which makes the mind feel that I am doing some service to I don't know whether actually you are aware of that, but it is a seva that you are doing to spread Guru's message everywhere. So if that feeling is there in the mind is definitely progressing in this path. So I'll go back again to my own feelings. So I was telling you that I started this path long back, and I did not know about Atma or anything. And I was also telling you, so many years have passed, and now many people come and they speak to me. I also give lectures. I also come to know people's minds, their problems, many things which they are not able to tell people, their family people even, they will be telling us. And it is always nice to be able to just sit with people and listen to them. I remember that in my early days in the ashram, I used to see Swamiji sitting and listening, even if it's a villager. I didn't know the language at that time. And I would see that Swamiji is talking to one villager for hours. So I would think, what he is talking so much? But Swamiji says that when somebody comes, just give a listening ear. Listen to it. Don't be impatient. Just listen. When you give only, that loving company to somebody, a person feels consoled. So, in Guru Sannidhi, Now, Namrata said that what should be my topic. Actually, I do not want to talk on any topic. Whatever comes to my mind, I want to talk. So even this life in Guru Sannidhi is also a very vast topic. And I feel that whatever I have to say is the life that I have spent. I started long back, and I think that ever since I started my life on this path, I felt that Baba accepted me. I felt that he is my savior. He is my anchor. He is the one on whom I can rely. And when Baba was in his last days, and I met Swamiji there at Baba's, near Baba, Swamiji also had come. Baba had given the charge of our spiritual journey, mine and Nutan Swamiji's, to Swamiji. From from the time that I came to know Baba, I felt that this spiritual life is different from the ordinary life, as I mentioned right in the beginning. My life should have a focal point, which is spirituality. I did not know exactly what it is. Now I may define. If you come to me asking what should be my routine or what should I do, these are my problems, I can give you I can chalk out something. But I didn't know anything. But I felt that my life has a different purpose. And that is what? Never to forget that I am a spiritual seeker. You understand? Never to forget that I am a spiritual seeker. My first identity is that, and then comes everything. So I remained in household with that very stable feeling that I am a seeker. And whatever I did, my thoughts, my speech, my behavior, my actions, I would always assess and see whether I was behaving like a spiritual seeker or I was going away from it. Don't think there were distractions. There were a lot of, other interests suddenly coming in. But then every time the mind would feel that, am I being true to my spiritual sadhana? How is it that I am forgetting God? How is it that I don't remember what I like so much? You all are so much, these days people are so very fortunate that there are, this kind of satsangs are there, and people can move from one place to another. There are YouTubes now. So if you hear something you like, you can repeatedly hear that. But in our days, it was not there. Our days, it was only reading. And reading also, I think the first satsang that I had, I think it was Tagore's some articles. It is a book called Shanti Niketan. Tagore's Vishwabharati is also Shanti Niketan, but there is a book where there is a lot of articles, Shanti Niketan. What are those? Tagore in Shanti Niketan, he used to give morning lectures, to the assembled students. And those were mostly on Upanishads. I would take one line of one of the Upanishads and talk on it. A few pages. It will have 3-4 pages. Every day it must be very small. I really think that who all recorded them? There was no recorder, so somebody must have written. So there is a book like that. So while reading, I would feel that I am sitting in front and listening. Second satsang book was the Gospel of Ramakrishna Dev. In Bengali, it is Ramakrishna Kathamrita. So it would give very beautiful. I don't know whether you have anybody read that, but if you have not, you must read. Ramakrishna Dev, he was in Dakshineshwar, and One teacher, one master, he used to teach in one school. He didn't believe in God much, but he heard that there is a saintly person. So he once came to have darshan. And while he came, he liked him very much. There was some conversation. And then very often he used to go there. And later on, after coming back, he would describe the scene, who all were present, what all conversation took place. Just imagine the yearning with which he must be going made him retain all that was being spoken. Maybe not, maybe something got missed also, we don't know. But the manner in which he has written, it was just like Ramakrishna Dev was a little rustic, tone was there in his talk. So all exactly represented in that manner. So I used to read that and I would feel that I am in that satsang. As if I am also listening, I am also, while reading it. So, and then came Baba's letters. So Baba's letters, later on Swamiji's letters. Swamiji told me after I met him, he said that every 15 days I must write letters to him. So every 15 days I used to write a letter, and Swamiji's reply would come within 7 days. Then I would, all those letters, and Swamiji generally writes a little big letter only, to at least 3-4 pages. So I would be reading them, and how many times I would read, some of the paragraphs I will completely memorize, and those were the satsangs. So why I am saying this? Compared to anything else, I give these to be the superior place. You understand? So whenever the mind will get distracted, I would feel, how did I do this? Or how did I allow my mind to get interested in anything else? So that was the watchword, to giving the supreme place to the spiritual words. In the first letter that Swamiji wrote to me, he had written about nirdvandvatva. That is, how the life will always bring happiness as well as unhappiness, and how you can remain equal to both of them. Your responses can be equal. See, I think that as a young person, all of us know that life will not be the same always. There will be happiness and unhappiness many times. But to be reading Swamiji's letter, I found that so logically, so rationally it has been written. And then you can relate it. So I could relate it to the thoughts that I had, and understood that this I have to gain now. This nirdvandvatva, that is the dvandva that we face in life. What are dvandvas? Pairs of opposites. To be accepting that the life will bring pairs of opposites, like profit and loss, success and failure, then praise and blame, good and bad, like and dislike. All these will come. And why the mind suffers? Because we are not able to accept. We only want the good ones, and we are not ready to accept which are not desired by us. So, when those things started becoming clear, I don't think that when I first read the letter, I understood much. But repeated reading, and all those letters I had preserved, like people will preserve their jewelry or their, treasures. I preserved the letters, date-wise, all Baba's letters are preserved. All Swamiji's letters are preserved. And how many times I've read them, I don't know. So I'm trying to tell you that all of you are from the household. You have to give. If you really want spiritual progress in your life, you have to think that this life is not just what you live. You must give it a spiritual stamp, at least in your mind, that I am spiritual. Maybe sometimes the family people may not be. Then what? In your mind, you can become spiritual. And you must know, whenever there is this bandha also, say in a family, your children may not be tuned to your thoughts. Your wife or husband may not be. Your parents may not be. Then that is a dvandva. That is, one is attunement and non-attunement. In this dvandva also, how do you remain afloat? You have to learn. How do you still remain poised and steady in your spirituality? What is spirituality? It is your own self, your own real identity. And that nobody can take away from you. Can anybody take away your feelings from your heart? The obstacles that is created by others are much less than the obstacles that we create ourselves, because we do not give full mind to it, full liking to it. We still keep on liking many other things. That is why. See, I will read from one Prabhat Rishmi. Swamiji is writing in this Prabhat Rishmi book. These are Prabhat Rishmis I've been telling in my online classes also. Prabhat Rishmis, all of you know that Swamiji, we have Pushpa Samarpanam, offering our pranams with flowers at Pujya Swamiji's holy feet. And after that, Swamiji speaks. So he is writing. Then in his speech, some of the speeches have been made into books. There are so many which still are not published. They are published in our journal, the monthly journal, but not in the form of book yet. He is writing, all of you have in common the aspiration and love for spiritual life. You all are seekers. But one thing I have noticed in almost all seekers is that they lack the awareness of being a seeker. The emphasis that oneself is a seeker is not there. You understand? What does it mean? See, a girl becomes a mother. She must be initially, maybe for a few hours, she will think, oh, I have become a mother. But after that, the mother, that young girl, nobody has to tell what she has to do. She has to feed the child, she has to bathe the child, make the child wear dresses, and look after the child, bring the child up. Whatever is necessary at whatever time, she will be doing. So, the mother is behaving, a girl who has become a mother behaves like a mother, right? So, when we become a seeker, why is it that we don't behave like a seeker? What is a seeker supposed to do? A seeker is supposed to have the qualities of a seeker. And we must know what are the qualities of a seeker. Should we not imbibe those qualities? Or should we just read and listen? So that is why Swamiji is saying that you lack the awareness of being a seeker. So, then what is necessary? The assessment of oneself, analysis of oneself, that every day, am I achieving or acquiring at least some qualities or increasing those qualities or strengthening those qualities of a seeker? Or am I remaining in the same level as I was? So that has to be done. So each seeker has to see whether I am progressing little bit or not. First of all, one must know what are the qualities, how we can grow. If I am a seeker of truth, if I am a devotee, what I am supposed to do? And then self-examine and see, why is it that I am slipping from what I am supposed to do? What makes me not get it 100%? So Swamiji is saying that I have noticed in almost all seekers that they lack the awareness of being a seeker. The emphasis that oneself is a seeker is not there. One must have a very clear evaluation of what is meant by spiritual life and seeking. Now, I was talking about the people who have organized this visit. So they are doing it for the love of their guru, for the love of the society actually. Otherwise, why take so much of trouble? Running about here and there. So many difficulties are there. Actually, those who are coming to listen, they may not understand what is going on behind the scene. Swamiji always used to tell us after I started staying at his feet during Guru Purnima retreat, a lot of work will be there. And so we, those who will be managing all these things, we will never get any time to sit and listen. So Swamiji once told, those who are making arrangements and organizing and allowing some people to sit peacefully and listen to this knowledge, they will progress much more than those who are listening. Because you are accepting that it's okay. Even if I am not listening, I am sacrificing. Your desire to listen, you have given up. So it is like this. But even when we are organizing, whoever is organizing, whoever has come to listen, everybody has to understand what are we seeking. Suppose by doing all that, those who are listening, those who have made so much arrangement and made it possible for others to listen to these talks, brought us here with so much of effort, looking after us. But what are they seeking? What are they seeking? What are they imbibing? Have they imbibed something by which they can say that, yes, I've grown a little more? And what we have to imbibe, like Swamiji says, day in and day out, he's talking of the soul, the self. He says, you must know that you are the self and you are not the body. Everything in this world, including your body, is the things which are witnessed by the self, which is the witness. He's telling us for years and years and years. How are we applying it in our life? Have we become more composed, more loving to people, more helpful? Has our seeking, has it increased? What are we doing? This kind of assessment and examination should be there always. Then Swamiji is saying, what is meant by spiritual pursuit? What are its merits? And to where is it expected to lead you? All these thoughts and inquiries must engage your mind and intelligence to give you a proper evaluation and understanding of your pursuit. So, this thought should be there, that what I am gaining, what am I doing? So these things, when we are in Guru Sannidhi, wherever we are, when I say, when this topic is given, life in Guru Sannidhi, don't think that it talks about those who are staying with the Guru. What is Guru Sannidhi? I think that I was in Guru Sannidhi from the time I came to know of Baba. Because my mind was never, ever away from him. Whatever I did, he was there in the background. And then it became Swamiji. So, this Guru Sannidhi does not mean that you have to go and live with the Guru. Yes, if you can live, then it's all the more great. But none of you do that. And if you are able to do, then you will find, as Swamiji told me, that staying with the Guru, in the association of the Guru, the sadhana which takes place in 12 years will be done in 12 months. Because you will be under the observation of the Guru. What does the Guru want? He wants the Shishya, the disciple, to be like him. There is a shloka by Shankaracharya that the Guru is, we have got this philosopher's stone. If we touch anything with philosopher's stone, it turns into gold. Okay? But the Guru is more than a philosopher's stone, because when he touches the Shishya slowly attains the knowledge and he starts spreading the knowledge. So he becomes a Guru himself. You understand? So the philosopher's stone does not have the capacity to turn anything into a philosopher's stone. It can turn it into gold. Not a philosopher's stone, not like him itself. But the Guru, when Guru touches somebody, and if you open your mind to the Guru, you receive what he is giving fully, unconditionally, unreservedly, then what you will become is you will be able to get the whole knowledge that he is distributing. We are not able to take because we are bound by desires. In this Prabhatrishmi book, this is the first volume. My book has got torn by repeated reading. I find this, particularly the first volume, very, very good. So very sadhana-oriented it is. The first Prabhatrishmi is mind, pure and impure. After the Pushpa Samarpana, the veranda lights are switched off. Those days, the Pushpa Samarpanam used to take place at 7 o'clock in the morning. 6:45, the prayers will be over. 7 o'clock, we will ring the bell and we will arrange for Swamiji's seat. Then Swamiji will come and sit. We'll have the Pushpa Samarpanam. Then Swamiji, eyes closed, bathed in the golden light of the rising sun, he recited an Upanishadic verse with a deep ancient note. He then makes others recite it, following him quarter by quarter. Then he starts speaking, his eyes remaining mostly closed. Manohi dvividham proktam shuddham cha shuddhameva cha ashuddham kama sankalpam shuddham kama vivarjitam. This is from Amrita Bindu Upanishad. Or this is Brahma Bindu Upanishad, sloka number 1. It says that the mind can be of two kinds, pure and impure. An impure mind is full of desires, and the mind rid of desires is verily pure. So, this one shloka, why is it that we are not able to give this identity of a seeker, why we are not able to glorify it and make it superior in our life. You don't have to go and say, I am a seeker, I am a seeker. A mother will not say, I am a mother, I am a mother. By the mother's behavior, it will be known that she is a mother, she has a child. Whatever she does, mother's mind will be on the child. Even when the child has grown up in a different place, mother's mind is there. How is the child faring? So, as a seeker, what are we supposed to do? You do everything in your life because those are the responsibilities and duties that you are given. But know that I have to give this spiritual knowledge and importance in my life. I am a seeker of truth. I must, through everything, I must try to know what is my real identity. So, I will do this tomorrow. Ravi has already got up to tell me. Okay. Sampurnam Jagadev Nandanavanam Sarvepi Kalpadrumaha Gangam Vari Samastavari Nivaha Punya Samasta Kriyaha Vacha Prakrita Samskrita Shruti Shiro Varanasi Medini Sarvavasthitirasya Vastu Vishaya Drishte Parabrahmani Sarvavasthitirasya Vastu Vishaya Drishte Parabrahmani. Jai Guru, Jai Guru.